Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, and you have connected to Goal Setting Part 2. In this session, I'm going to talk about the three most important things around your goals. Now, if you joined me on session number 1, you know that we talked about goals from a customer perspective. Well, in this session, we're going to talk about goals around your side. And I'm going to share with you a few things and a few ideas that are probably going to upset a few people, but I'm glad I am. I'm really glad I am. Now, some of the content comes from my book, A Mind for Sales, because it really is about goal setting. But here's a couple things that we have to ask ourselves. And 2020 has been, without a doubt, a crazy year, no doubt about it. And 2021, it looks like it's going to be months before we really get the vaccine out there and really start to return to any kind of normalcy. But in the meantime, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity out there. And I was just on the phone about an hour ago with an individual in an industry that's been totally devastated. And I asked him how things are going. He says, it's great. We're finding new opportunities all the time. This is the attitude. This is the outlook. There is a tremendous amount of business, but I'll tell you what, it starts with how you look at it. Now, we can sit here and travel down the road. If you were with me on the first session, you know that I shared this picture, the road. And yeah, that's the road we're on. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, what lane are we in? I'm going to talk today about the three things that are the most important things to you and your goals. And I'm going to break them all down. And then at the end, I got kind of a special deal that I can only make available to 6 people. So stick around. I got a special deal that I can only make available to 6 people, and I'll share that with you. And this total webinar, it'll take about 30 minutes or so, okay? So let's go ahead and dig into it. And the three most important things that you have, and I can't stress this enough, are really time, mind, and your network. It's your time, it's your mind, and your network. Now, when we look at goals for ourselves, we have to understand, how do we leverage them? Now, think about this from a network standpoint. I can sit here and attempt to do everything myself, or I can empower other people to help me do it, okay? It's why I have in my own company, I have other people that work for me, because they can do a lot of the things that I could do, but it's just not a good use of my time. I use a network to help me develop other leads, other resources, so forth. See, I have to factor goals around my network. My mind is absolutely critical, because that is the most powerful app, the most powerful supercomputer I could ever dream of. And really what happens is, many times it locks us down. It doesn't unveil its full strength. I'm going to share some ideas around that. And the top one there is time. You see, time is the only thing that you and I have the same amount of. I live in the same town as Warren Buffett. Now, Warren Buffett's one of the wealthiest individuals in the world. And I don't know, Warren's worth about 60, 70, 80 billion dollars or something like that. And well, I'm not worth anywhere close to that. But you know what's interesting? We have something in common. We have 24 hours in a day. We both have 24 hours in a day. Yet somehow he's been able to amass more wealth. Why is it? Because he has found the secret to protecting his time, growing his mind, and nurturing his network. Think about that for a moment. That's what this is all about. It is about protecting your time, growing your mind, and nurturing your network. And this has to be factored into the goals you set. Because what happens is, during times we set goals that are merely activities. We're going to get this done. We're going to get that done. And what happens is, it's great. It's all fine, but it never gets us anywhere. And again, if you take a page out of Warren Buffett's playbook, he plays the long game. He plays the long game. And again, this is one of the biggest challenges we have in goal setting, is that we tend to play the short game. We almost think we're back in school. Oh no, my goal is just to make it through dinner and having to eat Brussels sprouts tonight. Yeah, that was the goal. Or in high school, what party am I going to go to this weekend? No. See, I want to shift our thinking, because when we do that, it's amazing what happens. Now, let's break into this first one. Let's talk about time. Time. What I want you to do is, I want you to subscribe to what I call the 2x4 technique. Now, the 2x4 technique is not, or the 2x4 principle, whatever you want to call it. It's not about taking a 2x4 to your head. That hurts. That's not good. It's not standing on a 2x4 and thinking you're going to walk 2x4. No. 2x4 is taking your day and breaking it into 4 2-hour segments. Now, I have found breaking my day into 4 2-hour segments is the easiest, best way for me to optimize my day. Now, if you know an attorney, maybe you're on this call and you happen to be an attorney, you'll know that you'll probably, you bill in 6-minute increments because there's 10 6-minute units in an hour. So it's 1 unit, 2 units. Okay, now that might be fine for attorneys, but what I found is that the vast majority of people, we can't actually stick with something for 2 hours. Now, within that 2-hour segment, there are going to be individual things. But one of the challenges we have that has us undermining the power of our goals is we fail to use the power of time. See, what happens is we set objectives that we want to accomplish, but we don't know how to break them down. We don't know how to break them down, and we don't look at them in the right manner. So what I want you to do is I want you to begin thinking about when you set your goals, how are they going to fall into 4 2-hour segments a day? If you have followed Stephen Covey at all, now he passed away a number of years ago, he wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the concepts he talks about is sharpen your saw. He says, if I had 1 hour to cut down a tree, I would spend 55 minutes sharpening my blade and 5 minutes cutting down the tree. Think about that for a moment. I'm going to challenge you to take at least 1 2-hour segment a week, at least one. For some of you, it's going to be actually every day. 1 2-hour segment where all you're doing is looking at your goals, reviewing and assessing your goals. Tom Zigler wrote a book, and he has a wonderful story in there about a gentleman who was a high performer and wound up taking his performance to an even higher level. And when Tom asked him what he did, he says the only thing he did was he spent 15 minutes every morning focused on his goals. 15 minutes focused on his goals. Now, I'll share with you, I do that every morning. I spend about 10 to 15 minutes every morning just focused on my goals. What are the goals I need to accomplish for the year? What are the goals I need to accomplish for the quarter, for the month? I look at all of them. And what that does is it helps me allocate my time because there may be some wiggles and some shakes in these 2-hour segments. Now let's break this down further because there's 4 elements that come into play. 1, outcome. You want to be zeroed in really only on one thing, and that is the outcome. It's not the activity, it's the outcome. For instance, I had a goal, I had an outcome that I wanted to achieve today. I wanted to have a meaningful conversation with at least 2 trade association people. That was my outcome. Because I wanted to find out what's going on with them. And I figured I'd have to make probably 10 or 15 calls. And I took my 2-hour segment that I normally use for prospecting and selling, and I just zeroed in on that during those. And sure enough, I did. And I was going to stay focused on that until I accomplished it. See, it wasn't the number of calls. It was the quality of the conversations because the insights I wanted to learn. See, so you allocate your time not on how long it's going to take to do something. You allocate your time based on the outcome you want to achieve. Because what I see happening is I see, well, this is going to take me all day to complete this. But if the outcome isn't worth it, why am I spending all day on it? I need to say, hey, I have to find another way to do it, or I just simply don't do it. There's a lot of things in my office, for instance. One of the things that I was looking at just the other day is my desktop. I use 2 computers here. And I have 1 computer and the desktop, the desktop of the computer, it's got way too many files on it. It's amazing. And I could spend time cleaning that up. That would be an activity. But what's the outcome? It's not going to bring me any value. It's really not going to do anything for me because it's just it's the computer that runs the PowerPoint you see on the screen behind me. I don't need it. I don't care. You see, the activity is not what I'm getting caught up with. It's the outcome. And the outcome I have is very simply this. I have to make sure, and I'm jumping to the 4th point here, there's an ROI. There's a return on investment. You see, everything I do must have a return on investment. Now, the return on investment may not be, I'm making money. Well, that's in a perfect world, it is. The ROI might be because you're investing in your family. The ROI might be because you're investing in a friend. The ROI might be because you're investing in your mind. The ROI might be you're working with a customer, which is going to return more sales. But you want to ask yourself with each outcome that you're going to do, what is going to be the outcome that you're going to create? Now, let's put the other two into perspective, time blocked. I already shared with you the 2x4 principle, and I love that 2x4 principle. Some of you might be in positions, 2x4 is just not going to work. Mark, you don't understand my job. Well, I don't, but I do. We can all make excuses as to why we don't do something. The question I ask people, and I love asking people this, do you answer your cell phone when you're in a public restroom? I would hope that you don't. I would hope you don't answer it in your own home. You see, don't think for a moment that everything has to be done right now. It doesn't. You have to block your time and say there are going to be some things that you're just not going to get to right now, period. You're not going to get to right now. You are going to be much more focused, and you're going to achieve more outcomes when you're focused on fewer items, but doing them better. You see, where we get into problems is when we try to do 2, 3, 4, 5 things at one time. It just doesn't work well. It just does not work well. No. You see, what we have to do is we have to sit here and say, hold it. What is the outcome I'm trying to achieve? And how? What's the time it's going to take for me to get into it? Now, this third point here, goal-centered. You're going to say, Mark, hold it. I'm getting a little bit confused. Here's the whole situation. Every outcome I want to achieve has to factor into a goal that I want to achieve. Okay. Now, the problem too many people have is we don't set big enough goals. I'm telling you right now, we don't set big enough goals. Because what happens is we set short-term goals. We set goals for this month. We set goals for this quarter. But in my book, if you've read my book, A Mind for Sales, you know that I talk about 25-year goals. 25-year goals. Yeah. You see, what's very interesting is when we set goals, and I believe it was Bill Gates made this comment. He said, we always overestimate what we can get done in a week, but we underestimate what we can get done in a year. That's always the case. It's always the case. Now, magnify that out by 25 years. I'm going to challenge you, if you were to set a 25-year goal, set 25-year goals, you will probably achieve them in 7 to 9 years. Surprisingly enough, that's what I found. Now, there may be some financial wealth accumulation goals that are going to take longer. I understand that. Because again, if you're going on compounded interest and investment growth and so forth. But it's amazing. Many 25-year goals can be achieved in 7 to 9 years. I've been in my business now for 22 years. 22 years I've been in my business. And I have far exceeded the 25-year goals I set up. Far exceeded. So I sit here, Now I'll come back and I'll talk about this. But the whole principle that I'm talking here is about your time. And you want to be asking yourself, am I using my time to achieve the outcome I need to achieve that's going to help me achieve the goal I want to achieve? And what's the ROI? If you can't answer those 3 things, then I'm going to challenge you to take it off your plate. I see a lot of people where they spend a tremendous amount of time on social media. And I go, fine, it's okay. You got to spend time on social media. I totally get it. But hold it. Is it helping you achieve your goal in the most time efficient manner? Probably not. Is it delivering you the ROI? I mean, you can't take clicks and likes to the bank. No. So you sit there and say, hold it, I got to bring that time down. I got to bring the time down to match the outcome. You see, what I'm doing is I'm not getting rid of this activity. I'm just diminishing the time to allow me to have more time to do something else. In fact, that's exactly what I've done with regards to social media. I take social media, for instance, and I say it has to fit into this 15-minute window, because if it doesn't fit in this 15-minute window, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I have to make sure it fits and it delivers to me the ROI, both short and long term, that I want to achieve. Look at everything that you do, because your goal is to sit there and come back to creating more CFT. We talked about that in session number 1, customer facing time. Now, let's take a look. Let's take a look at our mind. Now, I'm going to challenge you here and I'm going to push you to think differently about your mind. Because one of the biggest issues I have is that we have become too reliant on not trying to think. And it really puts us at a disadvantage. I'm going to talk to you right now as if you're a leader or a salesperson, okay? A leader, you find yourself in many, many conversations time and time again. And you have to ask yourself, am I qualified for this conversation or not qualified? Salespeople, same way. You're dealing with a customer. Am I qualified or am I not qualified? You see, what it comes down to is the knowledge you have to bring to the table. And I'm going to break this down. I'm going to give you 4 things that I want you to do to really, what I'm going to say is to grow your mind. Now, I want you on a daily basis growing your mind. 1 is your mastermind. If you are not part of a mastermind group, I can't stress this enough. You need to have 3 to 4 other individuals who hold you accountable. Just before I hit the record button, I got an email from one of my mastermind folks, and we're talking about something, and because we're having a 4-hour strategy meeting this weekend. Yeah, 4-hour strategy meeting. Because we value the input that we each bring. And what I'm going to challenge you is I want you to get a mastermind group of 3 to 4 people, no more than 4 other people. So there's no more than 5 people total. My best mastermind groups are 4 people. That's it. And we complement each other, yet we challenge each other. We complement each other in that we have the same objective. I mean, the same long-term goals we're trying to achieve, but we have different paths, different interests. We're diverse. We are very diverse. We are vehemently opposed on a number of issues, but that's okay because we challenge each other and we grow from each other. I can go to them at any time and get insights, get information. They can come to me. Just this morning, I texted them and I said, "Hey, how much do you know about this app?" There was an app that I was looking at. It was kind of interesting. I want to know, should I buy it? And one of them sent me back and said, "No, don't." You see, I'm relying on my mastermind to give me help. Number 2 is outside voices. Again, you want to have outside voices that go outside your industry. This is we are all guilty of being in an echo chamber. I think you probably have heard this term a lot, talk about it in politics a lot. People get caught up in their various echo chambers and they all want to hear things that resonate with them. What I'm going to say is you need to have outside voices. You need to have contrarian voices that you're listening from. Now, not necessarily that you're running off a cliff for, but they're challenging your thinking and they're getting you to think. This is what's absolutely key. You see, I find it's not the knowledge I know, it's the questions I ask. So I want to say, what am I going to have to do next year to get more outside voices? Now, mastermind is still the most important piece, but outside voice is critical. Number 3 there, 30 minutes. What's 30 minutes? You need to be spending 30 minutes a day digging in and researching your industry. And I'm going to challenge you to set this aside as a goal. When I hear people who say, "Oh, I'm going to try to read a book. I'm going to try to read a book." And I say, "Well, what was the last book you read?" I said, I can't remember. And they said they've read maybe 1 book a year, 2 books a year. And then I meet other people who say, "You know what? My goal is to read a book a week." I go, "Wow, that's spot on. That's spot on." I tend to read 2 to 3 books a week. Two to three books a month. 2 to 3 books a month. I've always had the goal of 1 a week, never been able to achieve it and sustain it. I get 2-3 books in a month. But what does this do? It helps me grow my knowledge. What does it do? It helps me use my time more efficiently. I can't stress this enough. That 4th piece there is long form. What's long form? That's books. You see, what I find happening is too many people are getting their knowledge purely off of 1,000 word blog articles, 1,500 word news sites. No, you need to get long form because long form gets you deep. You see, now think about this from a sales perspective. When you're dealing with a customer and they share with you what their need is, that's the headline. That's the 500-word article. Then they share with you a little bit. That's 1,000 word. But it really is only until you really dig down and probe with them and really get down deep that you really begin to understand what their need really is. And that's how you help them. That's like reading the book. We bring the biggest value to our customers when we view them as a book. We go deep. See, and I want you to go deep with that. So I'm going to challenge you. I want you to be setting up your book list for next year. Set up your book list for next year. I can't stress that enough. Now, when you set up this book list, I want you to follow the advice of the 3 other pieces on that list. It's in terms of the outside voices. What are those people telling you? What's your mastermind telling you? And when and how am I going to spend 30 minutes a day reading? There's a gentleman who I know I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And he spends 30 minutes every night just before he goes to bed reading. He says that's what I found is my best way. I spend 30 minutes a night reading. I go, wow, he's disciplined. Now, he reads about 2 books a month. But he says, I want to dig into them. And it's made a huge difference in his life. So as one of your goals, I want you to ask yourself, what's the reading that you're going to be digging into? Let's go into the third thing. The third thing is your network. Now, I've got a pair of binoculars up here, and I've got ×3 because there's really several different levels. There's 3 different levels that I want you to look at your network. And first of all, I want you to look at your network as not something you take from, but you contribute to. You have to be contributing to your network. You see, I view as we nurture it. The stronger your network becomes, the more valuable you become. You become the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Yeah. Now, that very much applies to your mastermind, but I think it applies to a lot of other things. So I say, if I become the sum of the 5 people I hang out with, what would happen if I hung out with 50 people? So here's what it's all about. There's 3 levels to this. And again, right out of my book, A Mind for Sales. Top one is the mastermind. I want you to have that mastermind group. And I want you to be challenging yourself every week. How am I helping them? Now, you may not be able to help each of them every week, but how am I helping at least one person in my mastermind every week? And it's amazing. When you begin helping people, it's amazing how it changes your own perspective. It's amazing how you suddenly begin listening better. And you know what? They're going to do things for you. Yes. Now, I want to cut to the chase here and go to the subject matter expert. What I want you to do is I want you to make a list. And I want you to make a list of all of the topics that you really want to have knowledge on this next year. What are all the topics? Or what are all the topics that you get asked about the most? And what I want you to do is next to that, then, I want you to write down the name or names of who are your subject matter experts. For instance, when it comes to apps, when it comes to sales apps, I have 2 subject matter experts. And that was who I texted this morning. One happens to be in my mastermind. You see, what I'm able to do is when I need insight on something, I can immediately go to my subject matter experts and I can get insight. When I need advice on a specific industry, I've got subject matter experts I can call on. Now, what does this do? This does a couple things for you. One, it has you identifying ahead of time what you need to know, because you may have some topics that you write down and say, man, I don't know anybody. I really don't know anybody. And I know them, but I don't know them. Okay, then guess what? Then your goal over the next year is to develop a relationship with them. Because if you can develop a relationship with them, it's amazing how much more valuable you will be when you're asked about it. Subject matter experts, topics down one side, write down 2 names. Now, the reason I say write down 2 names is because there may be times when, man, urgently, you need some advice and you reach out to one, can't get them. Then boom, here's somebody else. Here's somebody else I can reach out to. You know what's very interesting? As you begin creating this subject matter expert list, subconsciously, you know what's going to happen? Other people will put you on their subject matter expert list. Stop and think about that for a moment. How many times have you been called and asked for your advice on things? Spot on. Third piece there is your dream list. Who's on your dream list? Now, I love the dream list, and here's how you use the dream list. The dream list works like this. You write down people you want to know. And we'll say it's Richard Branson. Okay. So we'll put Richard Branson's name down on my dream list. Okay. And actually, I have Richard Branson on my dream list. Now, my probability of reaching Richard Branson, of meeting Richard Branson, having a meaningful conversation with him, probably isn't going to happen. But if I have him on my list, it may take me to somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Richard Branson. Sure enough, it did. Sure enough, it did. There's some Facebook posts. I knew a gentleman who knows a gentleman who actually spent time on Nectar Island, Richard Branson's place. So I immediately said, I want to begin trying to create a relationship with my friend's friend. And that's what I did. Over the past year, I've developed a pretty good relationship with my friend's friend, who is now my friend. And he's one step away from Richard Branson. Now, will he take me to Richard Branson? I don't know. But you know what? I'm smarter because I did meet him. Because think about who Richard Branson hangs out with is probably going to be pretty smart people. So you create this dream list. And oh, by the way, the dream list may have a 10-year number behind it. These are people I want to meet over the next 10 years or 25 years. I don't care. Push it all the way to the top. Push it. Don't back off. Because what you'll do is you'll find yourself meeting people who meet people, and you in turn will become a more knowledgeable person. Because it's very interesting, but I'll use this person who I've met, and I won't say his name, who knows Richard Branson. But over the course of the last year of me getting to know him, I've learned some really key insights. I've learned some really fascinating information. Not gossip, no, about thinking, about processing, about using of time, leveraging time. In fact, that's really where I honed in on the whole 2x4 mentality. That's really where I honed in on how to create accountability for each segment of time that you have. You see, what I'm talking here is using other people's knowledge. You see, opium, I don't know if you're into opium at all, but I'm really into opium. It's other people's minds. Other people's minds, opium. I want to leverage other people's minds. And that's what I'm doing in my network. I want to have as valuable a network as possible. So now let's start bringing this all home and let's talk about this from a goals perspective. Now, there's two levels of goals you want to have. You want to have personal goals and professional goals. And I can't stress this enough. I see too many people going through life, and what they do is they create professional goals, their work goals, but they don't create personal goals. Your personal goals are just as important as your professional goals. They're just as important. In fact, I'll argue they're more important because your family, that is your greatest investment. That's your greatest reward. I can't tell you enough the importance of investing into your family. Absolutely key. Now, there's two ways that you look at your goals. There's short-term goals and long-term goals. This time of year, it's very easy for us to sit here and say, we're going to focus in on 1-year goals, and that's great. But how do they fit into your 25-year goals? Before you develop your 1-year goals, I want you to sit down and dream about your 25-year goals. Why do I like 25-year goals? Because they push the envelope. They push the envelope in ways that people will never quite understand. Say, Mark, well, I'm 50 years of age. I only tend to want to work another 10 years. No, you're going to work a lot longer than 10 years. You may only work in this job for 10 more years, but you're going to live life for another 25 years. So what are those goals? What are those goals? See, your 25-year goals are a blend of personal and professional. Then you begin backing your way down and you say, okay, now what are my 1-year goals? And again, I can't stress this enough. And then when I set my 1-year goals, then I begin. Now I can go through the whole SMART process. Is it SMART and all the different levels and so forth. And jump out to my website. I got plenty of stuff. In fact, I'm coming out with a program here in a few weeks that'll lay all that out there for you. And I got a really special deal I want to walk you through here in just a second. But what is this about? It's about creating goals that fit really your mission. What is your mission? You see, here's what it comes down to. The more effective I am in using my skills, apologize, I cut off a little bit there. The more effective I am in using my skills, the more effective I am in helping others. You see, what I want you to do is I want you to maximize your own skills. That's why I say your three most important assets are your time, your mind, and your network. When I can effectively utilize those three, it's amazing what else happens. It's amazing how I can make it to the next level. Now, let me share with you what this is all about. What it's all about is I don't want you to be a rain barrel. Too many people, when they set goals that these are goals that I'm going to achieve. If you were with me last week, you know that I shared this, rain barrel or rain maker, and that's not what I want you to do. I want you to be a rain maker. Now, here's the deal I want to share with you, and I can only offer this to 6 people. 6 people. There's no place to go on my website for this. You have to just send me an email. Just send me an email. Say, Mark, I'm interested in your special deal. Here's the deal. What I'm doing is I'm going to offer you 4 months of my level 3, the Sales Hunter University. That's December, January, February, March, and 4 50-minute coaching sessions, one-on-one coaching sessions. These one-on-one coaching sessions, I say 50 minutes only because just in case we get started a minute or two late or something like that, but they're basically an hour, okay? But you're going to get 4 sessions, one-on-one, just with me, where we're going to go through and develop your goals. We're going to develop your plans. We're going to go through really whatever else you want to talk about. You're going to get 4 months of my level 3, which includes the group 2 hours a month of group coaching, access to all my online programs. I have a goal setting program that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. You're going to get access to that. My other master classes, all that's in there. Now, the total package of this it's $1,000. $1,000. The original cost of this, well, it's $79 a month in my level 3 program. So 4 times 3 is $320. And I normally charge $300 an hour for my coaching session. So that's normally $1,200. So basically it's like a $1,500 package that I can do right now, but I only have time to do 6 people. So send me an email. I'll follow up with you. It won't be till this evening, okay? But I will follow back up with you because I got to go from here right into another event. That's how busy I stay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to we will set up, you pick the times. We'll get these 4 one-on-one coaching sessions and access to the program. Now, what this is going to do is I'm going to set you up to win in 2021. This is an opportunity for you to jumpstart yourself to the next level. And a couple of years ago, I did this. I made this offer. And it was amazing the outcomes that people were able to achieve. I think I did this back in 2018. I wasn't able to do it anytime, and I haven't been able to do it, but I can only do it right now for 6 people. That's it. Because again, I don't stretch myself when I do one-on-one coaching, so I can devote time with you, and you know you're getting the best of me. So if you're interested, reach out to me, grab me on that, okay? Because what my whole deal is I want to help you be successful. Now, email mark@thesaleshunter.com, mark@thesaleshunter.com, or go out to my website, fill out the online form, but say, hey, coaching, one of the 6, whatever, flag me. But I'll reach back out to you this evening. We'll get you set up. There's nowhere is this mentioned on my website. Again, because I really don't like broadcasting it too broadly. Okay? Hey, my name's Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. We went a little bit longer than 30 minutes, and I do apologize. But hey, I've delivered you what I think are the foundational tools to help you be incredibly successful. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Great selling.